Screening for prostate cancer. Calls tonight from across the political divide for routine checks to save more lives. But medical opinion questions the reliability of tests. A waterfall of waste blighting this beauty spot. The landowner says they face a bill of thousands for the clean-up. This cultural gem has long been in need of a facelift, but now it's secured nearly £1 million for vital renovations. And we journey back in time to the radio station that played a vital role in winning the Second World War. Hello, good evening. There should be a national screening service for prostate cancer, according to a Labour peer and a Conservative Senedd member who've both experienced the disease. Currently, there is no national screening because experts who advise governments don't think the available tests are reliable enough. Campaigners say it would save lives and are urging men in their 50s to ask for a test. Our political editor Adrian Masters, who's in that age group, has gone out of his comfort zone to talk to two politicians, not about politics, but something far more personal.
Two different parliaments, two politicians from two different parties, Labour and Conservatives. But there is one thing they agree on, something they think is more important than politics. You'll often hear sounds of the guitar coming from Kevin Brennan's House of Lords office. But it was a different tune a few years ago when he asked his GP to check for prostate cancer.
Asked for the PSA test and it was a bit raised and so we kept repeating it until eventually it did cause enough of concern to have some investigations, and sure enough, in due course, found out I had it. Fortunately, at a very early stage. In my case, I had the operation to remove the prostate with the robot they've got now down at the University Hospital of Wales in Cardiff, with them sort of keyhole surgery they can do these days. It's very non-invasive. So basically, you know, I went to sleep, woke up 4 hours later and carried on the same conversation, and, you know, after a week or two, pretty much getting back to normal.
Paul Davis's experience was trickier. After his PSA test, he received an urgent call, and after further tests, was also diagnosed with prostate cancer.
I was referred to Singleton Hospital, and I had radiotherapy for a month. And then I was put on hormone treatment for 3 years, and I've just come off the hormone treatment, so I'll have to wait and see what happens now next. They'll probably test my blood again in the next few months just to see whether my PSA levels will remain low. If that's the case, then great. It's been very, very successful. Good afternoon, Kevin.
How are you doing?
How are you doing? You okay?
Time to talk then and put aside political differences. With them both being at different ends of the M4, that means a Zoom chat.
Well, thank you both for doing this. I know this is really strange, talking about things that we would never talk about, but we're three men of a certain age. Yep. And I think it's probably important to do, really.
Yeah, I mean, not to labour the point, but, you know, the culture I was brought up in, you know, playing rugby in South Wales and so on, you know, you do be pretty fierce on the pitch with each other, you know, when it comes to politics and so on. But outside of that, I think it should be possible for us to understand there are things that are bigger than the differences that we have, you know, politically.
And I'm glad that Kevin and I are having this conversation and sharing these experiences. And I hope by having this conversation and you broadcasting this conversation, you know, other people will see that this is above party politics and that we all need to work together to make sure we tackle this awful disease.
They agree too that there should be a rethink about a recent decision not to have a national screening programme.
I think that there's a lot of confusion and uncertainty for men who are faced with this, and it doesn't help that there isn't a clear direction, I think, from the centre. And there is, I think, a case for a national screening service.
There are national screening programmes for other cancers, and I think the benefits of having a national screening programme would mean that more people with prostate cancer would be caught earlier, and catching prostate cancer early is absolutely essential.
In the meantime, their advice is, if in doubt, get a test. Advice that's above politics.
Well, Adrian joins me now, and we're going to carry on with that conversation. Just how many men in Wales are affected by prostate cancer?
I think it's important to have that conversation because, as awkward as it is, talking to people that I don't talk about such things with, it is something that affects a lot of people. 2,500 cases a year here in Wales, according to the latest figures. Sadly, 640 men die with prostate cancer each year here in Wales. And the number of men living with it or after it is even higher, 28,000. So that just goes to show how big an issue this is.
The UK government has recently rejected a recommendation for a national screening programme, as you said in your report. We're both of a certain age, in our 50s. What can men do in the meantime?
The advice is to ask for a test if you're in the slightest bit worried or if you just want to set your mind at rest. But it's not always as easy as that. As you say, the National Screening Committee has recommended that there shouldn't be a national screening service. That's because there is some question over these tests and they deliver false positives and negatives, and that can lead to treatment that may or may not be necessary, a lot of worry and a lot of stress. The UK government wants to look again at that, so there is a consultation going on from the National Screening Committee, but the advice from the politicians I've been speaking to and others is to ask for your GP for a test and see where things go from there. Putting together this report, by the way, has made me think about it again. I usually challenge politicians for a change. I've listened to their advice.
So have I. Adrian, thank you very much indeed. Next tonight, the true cost of fly tipping on our landscape. A farmer from Nantymoel says she's been left with a clean-up bill running into thousands of pounds after waste was dumped from the roadside onto her land near Treorchy. Katie Rose Davis says she doesn't know how she'll recover the rubbish. Our Rural Affairs and Climate correspondent Hannah Thomas reports.
The steep slopes of the Bwlch Mountain in winter. You may think there's a waterfall in the middle, but it's actually a river of rubbish. It was dumped by fly tippers last week on land owned by local farmer Katie Rose Davis.
It's been a hotspot for years. It's been an ongoing problem. We've worked really closely with RCT Council, who've been excellent and really supportive in the past in clearing it. This time, as you can see, it's absolutely horrendous, and yeah, it's just heartbreaking.
You can see a fridge freezer at the bottom of it all. Rhondda Cynon Council have called it reckless vandalism. But what about the impact on Katie Rose's sheep?
They're quite curious. They'll go and eat smaller items in particular. If they ingest something dangerous, that could have a fatal effect.
And the sheep are not the only ones calling this rugged landscape their home.
Well, this is one of the most iconic views of the South Wales valleys, looking down over Treorchy. It is, though, on a cold January day, pretty bleak and windy up here. However, it's also a site of special scientific interest. So it's not just a financial cost to clearing this up, but an environmental cost as well, at a time when everyone wants to see wildlife and plant life protected in a nature emergency.
Natural Resources Wales say this is a serious crime that harms our wildlife and disrupts local communities. But can local people think of a way to stop it?
Increase the number of black bags we can put out a week. That'd help, I think. And I don't know what else, really. Maybe cameras.
The lay-by up there, then do something with it, barrier it off or something. Doesn't stop people from walking and enjoying themselves, but it does stop the big lorries or whatever is doing, tipping it over the side of the mountain.
I don't know how we're going to police it, that's the problem. It would be nice if somebody would come up with an idea.
Everybody agrees that there's a windy road ahead in the fight to tackle fly tipping. And in the meantime, the clean-up on the Bwlch Mountain won't come cheap. Hannah Thomas, ITV News in Treorchy.
The consortium behind Cardiff's highly anticipated indoor arena have been criticised for failing to deliver on its promises to the community. The accusation against Live Nation, Robertson Property and McLaren Construction is that they have not kept their commitment to create local jobs in the Cardiff Bay area. But the consortium have hit back, arguing that they are only at the beginning of the project. Isa Farfor reports.
And I hope, the community, myself, and a lot of other people can be involved because that's the issue, and we're trying to bring the community and the contractors together, hopefully.
Cardiff Bay is about to change dramatically. A £280 million indoor arena and promises of more than 1,000 jobs. But just a few streets away in Bute Town, some community leaders are asking a simple question. Will the neighbours actually benefit?
Young people, community members that live in the community don't actually work in these places, and that's an issue. And what we don't want is a repeat of, history, and that's the only thing that people like myself and a lot of people in the community are passionate about.
The arena will sit right next to one of Wales's most diverse and economically challenged communities. But campaigners say the spirit and culture of this area should be at the heart of what's built here.
I should imagine it will have some benefits. I remain questioning as to whether it'll have the arts and cultural benefits. The local heritage should be a key part of that.
In a statement, McLaren Construction said work on site only started in September 2025 and that the positive impacts on local communities will grow as the project develops. They promise substantial investment in the area, 600 jobs for locals, as well as engagement with the schools and colleges.
Well, I feel excited. It's not like I'm against it. I'm for it, 100%.
When it opens in 2028, more than 1 million visitors a year are expected here, bringing millions of pounds into the local community. For residents here, this isn't about opposing the arena, it's about making sure they are part of what happens next.
And Issa is live at the site in Cardiff Bay for us tonight. Issa, Cardiff Council got this project to the start line. What are they saying about the benefits for the local area?
Well, John, this is a huge investment that will change the landscape of entertainment in Wales. We have seen big names coming to Cardiff like Taylor Swift, Harry Styles and Beyonce. So we are really ready to be part of major music tours. The construction on site has already begun with the plan actually for the arena to open in 2028. The council says this project has inclusive growth built into it from the start, with apprenticeship, local jobs and dedicated community engagement. But for many people in Bute Town, they say they will believe these promises when they see real opportunities for young people, community groups and local culture emerging on their doorstep. So the campaigners I've spoken to say they are now in direct conversation with the developer, so things seems to be going in the right direction.
Issa in Cardiff Bay, thanks very much indeed. Still to come, batten down the hatches. Ruth is here.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that advice is because of the weather, not just because I'm here. But it's good advice, though, with a storm brewing and warnings in place. Not good news if you've got a leaky roof. But there's nearly £1 million worth of funding on the way for this gem of a country house.
All that still to come, but first, 70 years ago, it was a trailblazer, opening the door for thousands of Welsh medium students in education. Now, we take it for granted as Welsh is part of our everyday lives. But when Ysgol Glan Clwyd first welcomed students back in 1956, things were very different. Well, Joanne Gallagher is at tonight's celebrations. Joanne.
Oh, there's lots of excitement here tonight, John. Wales in 1956 was a very different place. You know, Shirley Bassey released her first single. The Gower Peninsula was named the first area of outstanding natural beauty in the UK. And here in St Asaph, Wales's first Welsh medium secondary school opened. Here to talk to us, if she can speak to us, because the choir are practising. They're about to start, is Sian, the head teacher here. It's a big night for you tonight.
It's a very big night here at Ysgol Glan Clwyd. Oh, we're so proud to be able to be holding this event. Obviously, we are celebrating the birthday of Welsh secondary medium education as well. So it's Ysgol Glan Clwyd's birthday, but I hope a lot of schools have been celebrating with us today.
And you had to battle 7 70 years ago to obviously you were not here 70 years ago, but you had to battle to get this school.
Certainly, there was a clear vision 70 years ago, and it was a battle. And I must say, there were several people involved. I'm not going to name names tonight, but what I'm going to say is that there were families involved, English-speaking families who really felt the need for Welsh medium education in the secondary sector. And wow, we are so lucky that they had that vision.
And there's a real night of celebration. Here in the choir, I think, any minute, they're starting to practice the music there. What can people look forward to that are coming here tonight?
I think we have various artists here tonight. We have big names such as Marad Williams, Celyn Cartwright, Steffan Rhys-Hughes.
Former pupils?
All former pupils, but we wanted something different as well. So on the sofa we have Lisa Gwilym, former pupil, and former pupils who run businesses in the area, very successful businesses, who have always promoted the Welsh language as well, and leaders of several institutions in Wales as well.
And you've got Mark Drakeford coming as well this evening. The red carpet's coming out for everyone. I've got the menu here. I'm going to look through it slightly in a minute. Diolch for that, Sian. Right, also we've got pupils who were studying here now, prefects, we've got Awel and we've got Emyr. You're meant to be in the choir, so thank you for joining us. What's good about this school?
I think the choir behind me is one very good example. The amount of opportunities we get, like extracurriculars, through the drama department, the music
telling
department.
me it's brilliant. And Emyr, for you, what's the best thing for you?
Oh, I reckon it's the variety of pupils that come here. You know, you've got countryside towns like Cardiff and Llansanna, and then you've got seaside towns like Prostate and Hill, and then it's a variety of pupils that come here, and it's nice to see so much different people using the Welsh language.
Well, diolch, enjoy. Do you know, whenever I hear Welsh language music being played, it makes me cry. I'm going to stay for this food. It looks absolutely fantastic. But before we go, why don't you just listen in to these choir here?
Joanne, thank you very much indeed. You can't beat a bit of Les Mis, can you? To sport now, Wales and British and Irish Lions fullback Liam Williams has announced his retirement from international rugby. The 34-year-old has decided to hang up his boots after earning 93 caps and scoring 21 tries for Wales. His final international appearance was against France in the 2025 Six Nations. Now, it's a striking country house that's nearly 800 years old, but the problem Gregonog Hall near Newtown faces is an ongoing battle to preserve it and protect its future. Well, now they've just secured almost £1 million worth of heritage lottery funds to start that work, with the hope of unlocking millions more. Rob Shelley went for a stroll around one of Wales' loveliest country estates.
This is one of the most impressive country houses in Wales you've possibly never heard of. Welcome to Gregonog. It's a few miles north of Newtown, with an atmosphere that exists somewhere south of the 21st century.
Come up the drive and it's a big, beautiful black and white house, and they think, wow. But it is just as wow behind the facade, but not everybody gets to see that.
It must have taken a forest worth of oak to make this place. It's a very dramatic first impression. Look more closely and you start to see the parts that have worn away, including the roof. It's been generations since they really tackled the problem. They've just won almost £1 million worth of heritage lottery grant to start seeing just how good or bad things are up there.
Until we get the actual builders and everyone up on the roof to start to investigating, we could find some good news, we could find some bad news. But this is more about a hidden gem in Wales. This is about sort of restoring a heritage asset.
These gods, or possibly stone angels, have seen poets, philosophers, prime ministers, and even once Hitler's foreign secretary stroll right past them. And soon they'll get to see the scaffolding going up. Here we are in a room circa 1636.
It is.
Wow. They knew what they were doing with their oak back then.
They certainly did. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful room.
It's all about being able to share this with people, to have people come up the driveway and go wow in their own right, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's the more people we can get here, the better.
Now for Grigynnog, it's tempting both local and tourists to turn onto that Montgomeryshire B road, then up a mile's worth of driveway. And in exchange for the effort of your journey, you get oak trees, big skies, and even in January, the distant noise of bees, wondering whether it's worth getting up yet.
You get lost. You still get lost.
So after 3.5 years,
you can
still get lost.
You can still get
lost. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
There is potentially £4 million worth of further grant to unlock and generations of work to catch up with. But then this big house at Grigynog's been part of the landscape for so long, it is the landscape now. Rob Shelley, ITV News, near Newtown.
Well, there's plenty more ahead here and on the ITV Evening News.
Coming up, outrage from British veterans and their families as President Trump says NATO troops avoided the front line in Afghanistan. Hundreds of British troops died and hundreds more lost their limbs in Helmand. Downing Street says the US president is wrong. Others go further, calling his comments the ultimate insult. The missed opportunity to save the life of this 20-year-old after a flesh-eating bacteria was mistaken for tonsillitis. And the DJ from Brooklyn Beckham's wedding gives the inside story on that dance.
There was no black cat PVC cat suits. There was no Spice Girl action.
So do join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Now, the rolling hills of mid-Wales were once at the very heart of wartime communications, believe it or not. In the 1940s, a radio station appeared in the landscape, linking Britain to its military mights above and below the waves. It was a top-secret establishment. The site was later decommissioned, but some of the original buildings have survived, as Adiola Dewis has been finding out.
It's amazing what you'll find in the pastures of Powys. I've come to Criggion, northeast of Welshpool. There are 4 old buildings here, and they've got a fascinating past. This site was specially built during World War II and remained in operation for more than 60 years. Towers and masts rose hundreds of feet into the air, transmitting top-secret messages around the world. These buildings weren't always alone in the landscape. They used to be dwarfed by a network of masts, each one taller than the Blackpool Tower. So what was happening here? Robert is a radio engineer. He's bought the building and knows the full story of this remarkable site.
In 1926, there was a radio station built near Rugby to provide communications mainly for the Navy. Because it was communicating with military systems, it was vulnerable. So what they needed to do was to build another radio station way off, not on a bomb route. So this was the site that they chose. This is before satellite, it's before transatlantic cables, so that was the only way that they could communicate with the Navy, basically, during the Second World War. The VLF site specifically provided essential communications for our nuclear fleet. You still need to communicate with a submarine, and the only way was simply to use radio.
The facility was wound down in the early 2000s. And those sky-high masts came crashing down.
I remember sitting up on top of the hill there with my dad, and they demolished the mast. It was almost left abandoned for about 11 years until I bought it in 2014. And I've just been restoring the building ever since. Just want to try and keep it going as long as possible, really. It's worth the effort.
I'm sure it is. And you can see much more on that story and other lost landmarks in Vanished Wales. That's tonight at 7 here on ITV Cymru Wales and ITVX. Now, after a brief respite, the weather warnings are back. And Ruth is here. Ruth, what can you tell us
I think there should be a warning just to warn people that I'm back, to be honest, because I'm basically the bringer of all the gloom and doom, aren't I? So, yeah, I hate to end the week on a rather dull note, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we'll skip over this quite quickly. There are warnings, though, as John mentioned, for the south of Wales in particular. Now, these warnings run until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and it all comes courtesy of Storm Ingrid. Now, Ingrid, you might say, where has that name come from? That's come from the Portuguese Meteorological Service. That's a mouthful for a Friday evening, isn't it? And you can see this is Storm Ingrid. It's a great big area of low pressure. That's nasty stuff. That basically means wet and windy conditions. Now, over the last few days, Ingrid has been working through parts of Portugal, Spain. They've had really nasty, miserable weather out there over the last few days, so we are not alone. It does mean, though, that across the southwest of Wales in particular, over the next few days, we're going to see some heavy rain and some strong winds. Here are the details.
Today sees sunshine, sand and a spell of bamboo rafting. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Well, despite all this talk of doom and gloom, it's actually quite dry across much of Wales at the moment, save for northern areas where, I'm sorry to say, it is still raining. But don't get caught out, because the first signs of Storm Ingrid will start to work into the southwest as we head overnight tonight. And that is exactly why we have this warning for the south coast in particular. Heavy, prolonged downpours accompanied by winds gusting 20-30 miles an hour. But for northern areas, I think you should escape the worst of this. And actually, here it's going to be a dry end to the night. Still breezy, temperatures holding at around 5 or 6 degrees, so thankfully a frost-free night as well. But it does mean it's not going to be a pleasant start to the coming weekend. And again, the warnings cover South Wales until tomorrow morning. The band of rain effectively stuck down across the south and the west. The drier, possibly brighter weather largely reserved for the far north and east. So it's going to be a little bit hit and miss out there tomorrow. It won't be a washout for everyone, but if it does start raining, could have some rumbles of thunder, maybe some hail thrown in for good measure. And again, the winds brisk 20 miles an hour, making it feel just a little bit cooler. Highs of 7 or 8 degrees, but factor in that wind, it is not going to feel particularly pleasant at all. Plans for Saturday night and might have to involve some wet weather gear, because that area of low pressure, Storm Ingrid, is not going anywhere. By the time we wake to Sunday morning, though, it should start to make slow and steady progress northwards, but there is typically another band of rain waiting in the wings, so it is again going to be hit and miss. Possibly some brighter spells, but a lot of low-lying cloud and mist and murk around the mountains, and I'm sorry to say, the rain never too far away.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Never one to end on a dull note, though, John. No. I'm going to say it. The S word. Possible snow for some next week.
Oh dear. We'll worry about that next week. Rob Osborne is back with our late update after news at 10. But from Ruth and me and all the team, thanks for watching this week. We'll see you next week.